Walker. This is Walker Tea Review, where we're presenting to you a different kind of tea, or a more unique kind of tea today. It's yellow. It's a yellow tea. This is from Jing Teas, and let me get the name correctly. Pre-rain Junshan Silver Needle Yellow Tea. Junshan is roughly translated as, or described here as, Imperial Mountain. So we're going to do things a little bit differently than usual. I'm going to pull out a little bit, of course, so that we can look at it on our paper. One of the other things, that's enough, more than enough really. Sometimes it's interesting to do things a little differently. So one of the things that you will note about this tea, that looks pretty good, is that you can add the water first. Sometimes if you want a little bit of a show, put your hot water there, take your leaves. Oh, that looks about a teaspoon, a generous teaspoon, and let those slowly absorb into there, okay, so that you can watch them kind of move around, bounce, float up and down. We're going to set this aside. We'll come back and look at that again in just a moment. We do want to look a little bit at some information. I don't know if you're going to be able to read this very well, but I am going to hold it up here so that you can look at the packaging and know what to expect. Again, this is from Jing Teas. This is 25 grams. Let me think, what was it? An ounce is roughly 28 grams. So this is below an ounce for approximately $18. I believe it's $12.50, 12 pounds 50 pence, or which roughly translates or exchanges to 18 US dollars. We are looking at serving suggestions or preparation suggestions of 1 to 2 teaspoons, steep time of 3 minutes, a water temperature of 80 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we'll set this aside so we can talk about this tea a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and zoom in on our tea as well. Now, this particular tea, because it is considered a yellow tea, there is a process in which it is folded or wrapped in paper, and that's part of the preservation or drying processes. What you see here are similar to green tea as far as the color goes, but you are looking at needle shape, which is also reminiscent of a white tea, like a silver needle. Hence the name that we have here of silver needle tea. You'll see needles that are a little bit over a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch long. A lot of these are fairly similar in size. You've got a few, yeah, roughly, give or take. Other things that we want to note about this tea as we kind of back away. This tea is from Hunan province, which is a little bit of, how should I say, central to a little slightly south. It is an area that has a large lake called the Dongting Lake. In the middle of Dongting Lake there's an island, and on that island is Junshan, a mountain. And because of the coolness of the lake and the temperatures on the hillsides and mountains, that is where this tea comes from. Yellow teas also, they're a little bit secretive in the element of how they're prepared or how they're made, processed. What we can also look at here, this is a good time now to kind of look at our cup again. Let me set this aside so that, now you may have noticed I pulled a little bit of a pebble out of this bag, which was a free little gift for us, not something that we usually see, and again, not something that I generally see from Jing Tea. So this is just a little bit of a surprise. What we see here in our cup is our needles are standing, a lot of them are standing straight up, which is an interesting way to kind of let it show that it's dancing around. This is something that you could show if you had tea drinkers who wanted a little bit something unique, something if you had guests over and you were preparing tea. Show them the process, show them something unique, how this tea kind of moves around in the water. Now, the issue then becomes, how are you going to drink it? Well, a lot of your Chinese tea drinkers, yes, they learn to suck out the tea, leaving the leaf in the cup. If that's something that you're not comfortable with, you may want to find a way to go from a glass container, a glass teapot, and strain away the leaf, using it again later. What we want to expect from a yellow tea, we want to have some of the elements of a green tea, but we also want to have some of the elements of a white. We want to have the sweet notes of a white tea. We want to have also some kind of a fruit element that has been associated with some of your yellow teas, but at the same time we don't want some of the astringency associated with green teas. We do not want a very strong green tea taste, because it has been noted that green teas have been tried to get passed off as yellow teas to people who are not as familiar with yellow teas and don't know what to expect. So we want to have the notes of more of a yellow tea, a white tea with a little bit of a fruit element, less of the astringent elements of the green. So let's see if that's what we have with us today. Kind of another useful tip is to blow away the leaves so that you're able to get a clear patch for your mouth. Prevent those from coming. It's actually still quite warm, so I'm going to have to get a quick sip and comment and then come back to this later. Which is a good time to bring up those recent studies about scalding hot liquids and associations or connections with esophageal throat cancer. There's been notes of studies that show that people who generally and regularly drink extremely hot liquids have a greater risk of damaging their throat, the lining there, and developing cancers as a result. But we want to be able to keep a good let this cool down so that we get a good temperature and a safe enjoying experience from our teas. Notes from this experience and previous experience of tasting this tea were what I found were taste elements that were not significantly unique from other green teas I had tasted. What I found here was not something that really stretched over, that really brought over from the white tea taste, the white tea aromas into here, and I found more of the green tea element being carried and transferred into here. So let me give this another chance again, just so that I can look at those dance. You can always just relax and enjoy the dance of the tea leaves. Again, let me clear some space here. I'm getting a kind of, I've tasted Hunan green teas before that were labeled as kind of a Maojian, and that's the aroma and the taste that I'm associating with this right now. As this cooled down a little bit, I was allowed to draw a little bit more tea in, let it work around a little bit more. I did detect those faint white tea elements to it, that little bit of sweetness, that ever so faint and delicate taste of a kind of a clover that I associate with some of the white teas, especially like a silver needle. So, to be fair to this tea, yes, those elements are there. To put this all together, I found more green, not enough white. I gave this an 86. Keep in mind, yellow teas, because they are harder to find, it will be more difficult to compare this because you will have fewer other teas to compare it with. So, here is Jing teas. Again, let me read the name correctly. Pre-rain Junshan Imperial Mountain Silver Needle Yellow Tea. Again, this is 25 grams for roughly $18. I'm Jason Walker, and this is Walker Tea Review.